So I'm still working on this Yoda drawing. I've done a lot of work, obviously, between the last video and this video. And I just wanted to go over, I guess, how I work on some of the details and some of the sort of tricks that I use to incorporate into the drawing. And one of my favorite things to do that I think really helps sell a drawing is erasing some of the dark areas to add in highlights. So let me show you an example. If I refer specifically to this area, sort of under on Yoda's chin, like between his mouth and this dark area where his shirt is. Right now in the drawing, I just have that all as sort of a darker flat color. But I can take my eraser and sort of gently go over some of these parts, and you can see it's a little detail, but it adds a lot of interest in there. And the nice part is, if you don't like it or you mess it up, you can just go back and smudge over it again. And right now, that's all I'm doing is sort of working on these details. And again, this is sort of my favorite part of the drawing. This takes the longest, but it's really what makes it look good. I had another art teacher that used to tell us, God is in the details, right? It's the little things that help make the overall drawing look really good. And at this point too, I'm drawing a lot with my smudge stick, so I'm picking up a lot of graphite on it. So you can see I'm going over these dark areas, right? And then I'm just really carefully adding in some of these lines and creases that he has in his face. I'm assuming Yoda is a male, I guess. And I'm also sort of checking at this point, still looking at the proportions, and I'm also checking, okay, is mine dark enough? Like, for example, if I look at my drawing right here, and right here on the actual reference photo, it looks like the reference photo is a little darker right here. And I can sort of color around that highlight that I added. I'm just sort of scratching that in with the pencil and then smudging it. Right, until I feel good about that. Let's add some lines in here at his nose. It looks like his upper lip is has a little bit more of a shadowed area that I don't have in there yet. So I'm going to really carefully just kind of color this in. And then smooth it out. Right, and then his bottom lip actually has a little bit of a highlight. And then it gets a little darker, and that's a really nice detail I want to sort of pick up on. And again, he's 900 years old, so he has some wrinkles. So we'll make sure we add those. And again, this is really the bulk of the work. Really carefully just adding these details in here. I've also had, professors that have said if you're looking at your drawing more than you're looking at your reference photo or the subject that you're drawing, you're doing it wrong. You should be constantly looking at your subject and constantly checking your proportions and constantly checking your shadows and highlights to make sure that everything is placed in the right spot. And I feel like I'm getting pretty close to finished with this. And again, there's not necessarily a right answer for that. I've done drawings of Yoda or tigers or whatever that I don't finish the whole thing. In other words, I leave a section sort of unfinished or just suggested, sort of like I've done with the shirt right here. And in this case, I ended up rendering a little more than I thought I would, but I was happy with how it looked. And so that's what I felt like doing. So that's what I did. And sort of one of the last details that I want to add are going to be these little fuzzy hairs around his head. And the reason I want to sort of save those for last is because I'm going to do it with the pencil. And I don't want to accidentally smudge them or smear them as I'm working. And there's a real good chance that that would happen. So you sort of want to plan things out like that too. And sort of save details like that for last for that reason. And it's not that you couldn't, erase or redraw them. You could. But if you can sort of save yourself the grief, then I would recommend doing it that way. Alright, so let's see. And I'm probably not going to draw all of these in either, because they sort of look like there are some stray ones, but there's also like bigger sections. So I'm just going to sort of suggest them. Right, like this. Right, and that's about it. So I think I'm going to call that finished, and thanks for watching.